All right, time for another episode of the Josh Cast. I'm scared, I'll be honest, and depressed because, my favorite thing in the world is getting up on stage, and that's not a reality at this point. And I'm, seeing other posts online, and people are very upset, rightly so. If you're just joining us, the entire world is on lockdown because of the coronavirus. If you're just tuning in case you just got back from I don't know where, this must be the best time in the world to be on the International Space Station. They're probably looking down going, ha! We did it! Perfect timing! Perfect timing. And I'm torn because, well, I'm not torn. I'm not torn. I am feeling all of these feelings, but at the same time, I have this urge to want to continue to find the humor in it, because it's the only way that I can deal with it. I've noticed that 7-Eleven is still open. I don't have a refrigerator or any means of storing food. So, it looks like it's just me and 7-Eleven for the next 2 weeks to possibly, 3 months. So it's going to be a lot of ramen. A lot of ramen. I'm a little concerned about the 7-Eleven diet. Oh, Subway's open too. All right, I'm feeling less scared. Between 7-Eleven and Subway, the good news is by the time the virus gets to me, I'll already be dead. Here's the other thing I find hysterical. There was still lawn care. The gardeners were still working on some of the houses nearby. In the midst of all this crisis, the lawns must continue to be taken care of. That was a detail that was missed in Mad Max. There should have been a scene where he's walking through the desert and suddenly he steps on a lawn and like, excuse me, can you... off the grass, please. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Max. Appreciate it. Appreciate ya. Yeah, people are still working on houses. The construction's still happening. So life is not completely grinding to a halt. People are still working where they can. We're doing what we can. We're doing what we can to survive. I don't know why I'm going into Katherine Hepburn. We must persevere. I lived through the Depression. I can live through this. So can you. The Loons. The Loons. Sorry. I getting slap happy here. This is the weird thing, is that I'm bouncing between sheer depression and this weird kind of excitement. This almost euphoria. Very strange. Okay, so here's what happened yesterday. Here's how my mind works. Everyone else is hoarding food and life and death supplies. I went to Guitar Center because I thought to myself, well, in case I can no longer get phone service, I'd better get an audio recorder so I can keep podcasting. I think I'm going to be one of the first casualties of this bitch. And Guitar Center was packed, so I know I wasn't the only one thinking that. All these musicians were going in, going, I better get those extra strings, man. I decided not to get the recorder because the recorder has a memory card that you need to plug into a computer, and I don't want to have to work on anything that complicated. So I'm going to just hope the phone or the iPad will be enough. That's the other thing I've noticed the past 2 days is I see more people than I've ever seen before who are jogging. So, I mean, we're going to be fit by the end of this. Some of us. I refuse to jog. I did meditate for 10 minutes. I'm watching somebody now who's walking but with ski poles. An elderly lady who was walking but with ski poles. I've seen that before. That's something. I guess it steadies you. In case she runs into any moguls in the middle of the park. I shouldn't be insulting the elderly. This is not the time to be doing that. The Loons! All right, the Loons! I'd like to have seen Katherine Hepburn in a Mad Max movie. You can't just go around in your car shooting people. Time was, people didn't go around shooting people like that. I don't care how mad you are, Max. I don't care. The Loons, Max. Don't shoot the Loons. Well, I guess at least I'm making myself laugh. That's something. So then, so across the street from the Guitar Center, there was an Italian restaurant. And I just found out that they were going to close all the bars and restaurants starting at midnight. So I thought, I better go get something. So I run into the Italian restaurant, I order something, and then I say to myself, this is an Italian restaurant. Italian. Right now, the coronavirus is killing people left and right in Italy, and you are standing in an Italian restaurant. And then I tried to calm myself down and say, listen, this is Los Angeles. This is not Italy. I'm sure everything is fine. I don't need to panic. And then I proceeded to feel guilty about panicking, about basically racially stereotyping people based off of the coronavirus scare. And so I said, no, I'm not going to live in fear. I'm going to order this salad with salmon. That is how I defy. So I ordered the salmon with salad to go. And I stood there and panicked quietly. And then as I was paying for the food, I said, so the guy had an accent, which I assumed was an Italian accent. Again, racial stereotyping. And I said, do you know anyone who's suffering? I'm really sorry to hear what you're going through. And he said, I'm Romanian. And I felt I was like, oh, thank God. Thank God. I forgot. Oh, thank God. And then I asked obligatorily, well, is anyone in Romania? We got 100 people. All right. Oh, I feel so much better. Good thing. Oh, my God. So that was my adventure, having Italian. So then I thought, all right, well, I'll eat. There's a park near where I live. I'll eat it at the park. So I walk over to the park bench, and I sit down and I start to eat, and I think, I wonder how many people have sat on this bench. Oh, God, the virus can live on the bench for 3 days. The virus can live on the bench for 3 days. The Loons, Harold, the Loons. So I then went over to the curb and sat down on the curb and ate my food on the curb. And my landlady walked up and said, you can eat that on the porch. I said, oh, no, I don't want to be a bother. Because that is the Snyder/Levine tradition. No matter how bad things get, we never want to be a bother. So that was my day. And then the other thing too is I wanted to, all right, this is my time to sit down and write. I'm going to write. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to write. First, I'm going to listen to some music just to get my bearings. And then I listen to music, and then at around 7, I panicked again and thought, I need to get a ServSafe certificate. So I started taking the ServSafe course, even though, by the way, all the restaurants are closed. So I don't know why I'm like, I need to get a ServSafe just in case. If anything, I should probably, learning how to code, because they're probably the only ones who can still go on. So then I tried watching. I was watching Richard Pryor on Netflix, and then I got jealous because Richard Pryor can perform in front of people and I can't, and I turned it off. And then I went to bed and had. They weren't nightmares, but at this point, though, are any of my nightmares really? I mean, I think we can go ahead and just call those dreams. Because compared to what's going on in the real world, I don't think it's too much of a thing. The other thing is I have these heaters in my domicile, and I keep leaving the place without remembering if I turn them off or not. So now I've got to go back. I shouldn't even be leaving, but I'm driving in. Driving around. I can't stay in all day. I'll go insane. I'm pretty sure I unplugged them, but I'm going to double check now. All right, and yes, I unplugged it. This is the thing. I gotta find a new way to live here. Notice how my voice is lower as I'm out of the car. I'm ashamed to be a podcaster, that's why. I don't want people to know what I'm doing. Totally ashamed of it. I can only be in my car when I go full Katherine Hepburn. Wouldn't want to do that outside. Freak people out a little bit. They think I have the virus. Ooh! What if this all turns out to be nothing? Isn't that going to be... Oh, people are going to be upset. There's going to be committee hearings on this if it turns out to be nothing. And it's also doing this annoying thing where it's raining sporadically, so I have to turn the windshield on, the windshield wipers on, every two minutes or so. It's like, rain or don't rain. Pick one. Rain or don't rain. Pick one, for God's sake. But yeah, it's pretty insane what's going on right now. But people are walking around. It looks like some of the local restaurants, I think they're still going to be serving takeout. So that's good, and I live near some restaurants. And will hopefully the supply chain to the restaurants will continue unabated. I believe that they shall. Ooh, I'm going to run this yellow light. The one time in LA there's no traffic, I have no place I need to go. Blah, 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 blah. The Loons, Harold. All right. Katherine Hepburn's gotten too tired. I get it. I get that Katherine Hepburn, that I've beaten the dead horse with that one. Too bad I can't do an Audrey Hepburn. Were they related? I should Google it. I have plenty of time to. But, yeah, so it's the era of social distancing. You know, my other fear, here's my other fear, is that that we're going to spend all this time social distancing now and self-quarantining, that it's going to come to the point where that becomes what is preferred, and no one goes out and does anything anymore. And we'll all just live at home in our little cubes. And that we'll transition from a service economy to I don't know what. It's gonna turn into the Matrix. We're just gonna plug into the Matrix and just sit there and become batteries for the computers. I gotta say though, I mean the traffic's a lot lighter, but there is still traffic in Los Angeles. There is still traffic, and that actually gives me some comfort. It's not a complete ghost town. I don't know. For all I know, people are just driving around for no reason. But I like the optics of it. Good. All right. Well, that was. This podcast is probably going to be a little bit longer because my commute is. I went back to double check to make sure I unplugged my heaters, which I did, of course, and so now I am back en route to my destination. I'm going to walk around and I'm going to see what's open and what's not open. Don't worry about social distancing. I'm quite an expert at it, actually. I've been social distancing, well, since the Reagan administration. But now is the part of the podcast where we should probably, where I like to do observational humor about stuff that has nothing to do with what's going on, just to get out of my own head a little bit. You know what? The one that comes to my mind, we can talk about this. I have one or two jokes about it, but we can go further. Let's talk about Highlander. Let's talk about the Highlander. The Highlander as a franchise. Now, to be fair, I've only seen the first two movies. I have not seen the third, I've seen a little bit of the series, nor have I seen the movie that had the guy from the series and the guy from the movie coming together. So just the first two. But the Highlander as a concept. Everyone got these warriors, they got to kill each other, and the last one left gets the prize, which is knowledge or something. And then I think they cease to be immortal, I think, once they get the prize. And they can, there again, I noticed, none of these Highlanders were Jewish. Because I think dare I say it, if I may make a cliche, the Jewish Highlander might have gone, listen, I'm fine with the immortality. I don't have to worry about washing my hands. I don't need total knowledge. What knowledge is there? Total knowledge, but mortality? Great. So that means I just know which insurance company is going to give me the best deal? Great. Yeah, I'm good with the immortality. Thank you. Which goes back actually to the Wandering Jew. Maybe the Wandering Jew, which I discussed in the previous podcast. Just to fill you in, the Wandering Jew. The concept of this was the Jew that I think mocked Jesus and was cursed with walking the earth until the Messiah came again. Maybe the Wandering Jew is a Highlander. Isn't that something? There can be only one. Now, the thing that everyone points out about the first Highlander movie, of course, is that Sean Connery, Scottish accent and all, is cast as a Spaniard. Ramirez. And this is why Sean Connery is awesome. Sean Connery, he's been a Spaniard. He's played a Russian guy. He's played an Irish cop in the 20s. Did he get he's played a British Secret Service agent. Does anyone care? I think he's always had the same Scottish accent. Does anyone care? No, because he's Sean Connery. There's just something about Sean Connery. No one cares. I think he should have played the Phantom of the Opera. He wouldn't even sing. They should have cast Sean Connery in the Phantom of the Opera, in the musical, and he would just probably talk through the lyrics as Sean Connery. Nighttime sharpens, heightens each sensation. Darkness stirs and lights the imagination. Love it! Put Sean Connery in any movie, he's going to play Sean Connery, and you're going to be okay with it. You're going to be okay with it. Doesn't matter what the character is. There will be no trying to make him learn the accent. Why would you do that? Why would you ruin Sean Connery with your stupid character? Oh, you want a chameleon? Oh, I'm sorry. Well, then you should not have called Sean Connery. You put Sean Connery in because he's Sean Connery. Now, in all fairness to Sean Connery, by the way, in all fairness, who I don't mean to mock him because I think he is a great actor, and he did have a pretty solid accent in Untouchables. It was an Irish tilt. But I think the other thing that demonstrates, though, can I just say that there are times where I would rather that the actor not have the accent and just have their natural voice, and we get, okay, he's Irish, or we get, okay, he's Russian. We can get from the context clues that's what he is, and we don't have to sit there and watch the actor or the actress put on an accent that we know is not their real thing. Kind of like in the world of Shakespeare. You don't need to do Shakespeare with a British accent. You can do Shakespeare with your own accent. Nor, in the world of Shakespeare, do you have to wear, the specific attire. We get that it takes place in Rome. You can wear, jeans and a t-shirt, and the language will let us know that it takes place in Rome. And we're smart enough as an audience to, that's Caesar. We get it. Doesn't need to be a perfect, exact. This was the shroud that Caesar actually wore that we've procured for this production of Julius Caesar. No one cares. It's in the language. Sean Connery and Katherine Hepburn were in a movie together, which was the greatest movie ever. No, wait, were they? They were. Were they in a movie together? No, that's a good question. I got to look that up. Tweet at Nerdy Virgin if Sean Connery and Katherine Hepburn were in a movie together. I totally got off track with Highlander. Where was I? Right. Highlander 2 is my favorite movie ever made. It is the greatest movie in the world. I've already talked about this, but my favorite moment in the movie it involves Sean Connery. He's standing over a glass globe. It's a globe that has a glass around it, and I think it symbolizes the because in the second movie they had there was a problem with the ozone layer, so they had to build this energy shield around the Earth. And now part of the plot was, oh, we don't need the energy shield anymore, but the evil corporation tells us that we do, which sounds eerily familiar. And there's a moment where Ramirez is in McLeod's house, and they're looking down over a glass globe with glass around it. And Ramirez is basically telling McLeod, we got to do the time. The time is now. We've got to act. And he smashes the glass globe. He smashes the glass that's around the globe. And that's my favorite scene in the movie. It's my favorite movie. Here's why that's my favorite, and that's my favorite moment in that movie. Here's why. Because I don't think McLeod was disagreeing with Ramirez. The time is now! And he smashes the globe. And McLeod says, I'm right there with you. I agree that the time is now. There was no need to break my globe. Now there's glass all over the floor. And granted, we're immortal, but not everyone else is. This is a hazard. You could have just said the time is now and, tap the glass to kind of make a point. At that point, Katherine Hepburn walks in. The Loons, McLeod, the Loons. All right. We've got the cat. I got it. Yes. I can do a bad Katherine Hepburn impression. What else about Highlander? Oh, in the first movie, they do a fight scene in I think a hockey stadium parking lot. And the main character, McLeod, he's got this trench coat, and he, at one point, withdraws this giant sword from the trench coat. So he's hiding the sword in the trench coat. And I struggle with that moment because, you can hide a sword in a trench coat while you're walking, but what if you need to sit down? That's going to, you're going to get, it's going to rip through the coat. He's gone through a lot of trench coats hiding that sword. That's why my favorite sword in any movie or TV or cartoon show is the Sword of Omens from Thundercats. Because it starts as a dagger, and then Lino says, Thunder, 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 Thundercats, ho! The Loons, Lion-O, the Loons! Oh, man. Katherine Hepburn did never appear in an episode of Thundercats, although she should have. She should have. She should have and she could have. But anyway, my point, where was I? Right, Sword of Omens. When he said thunder, thunder, Thundercats, ho, the sword extended. The blade actually grew and it became a sword. But before that, it was a dagger, much easier to carry. I like a weapon that is foldable like that. I'm a fan of that. Well, I'm arriving at my destination now. I'm making a point. I need to leave the place every day. I don't want to get caught. I got to go do something. Not with people. Not with people. I'll be alone, I promise. I'm very good at it. But I encourage you to... what do I encourage? What's the point I'm trying to make with this whole podcast? Why am I doing this? I think because... well, I enjoy making people laugh. And I figure if all else fails, if I can make myself laugh, perhaps, if I can genuinely make myself laugh, and you're listening in and you laughed, well, you laughed. And it was one more laugh and one less sigh of pain and fear. Maybe that's ultimately what laughter is about and what comedy is about. It's, if people are laughing, in the moment they're laughing, they're not in pain, or the pain is a little less. And maybe that's really what my purpose is on this world. All right, well, there we go. The Loons, Harold, the Loons.